Netanyahu's warplane is out. It's in the air. Drones are on the way. Iraqi security officials have confirmed that dozens of one-way suicide drones have been detected over southern and eastern Iraq after entering via Iranian airspace, and that they are heading west. So let's see where this goes. Here it is. These drones will likely take many hours to reach Israel if launched from Iran. If cruise missiles are used, they are likely to be launched in the coming hours, as they take a few hours to reach Israel, and then ballistic missiles will be launched last if they are to be used, and they take less than 10 minutes to reach Israel. Will the Turkish U.S. bases will drag Turkey into it? I mean, we'll see. Depending on how Israel retaliates, because remember, Israel is the country that bombed, technically, Iranian soil in Damascus, in Syria, by bombing the Iranian consulate compound. This was a direct violation of international law. This was a direct violation and also a major escalation in this conflict. It's not about Israel showing restraint. It's about what America does. It was about what America does from the jump. The fact that Joe Biden, after October 7, gave a bear hug and no red lines approach to Benjamin Netanyahu caused Israel to feel like they could do whatever the they wanted, and they could very easily bring America into the conflict. And they violated numerous red lines, as you guys know, both the ethnic cleansing in Gaza, but beyond that, way more severe red lines that they violated, such as striking Beirut, Lebanon, not just southern Lebanon, but straight up striking Beirut. And then another red line when they struck the Iranian consulate and the Iranian consulate compound in Syria, in Damascus. Beyond that, obviously, there were, of course, locations that were attacking Americans versus the Iranian proxy groups in both Syria and Iraq. That is the norm. Just like it was the norm for Hezbollah to strike targets in northern Syria versus Israel striking targets in southern Lebanon. But there were moments where Israel went above and beyond in the most belligerent fashion, likely escalating the tensions in the region and likely creating more destabilization with the hopes that they could bring the United States of America into the conflict directly. Benjamin Netanyahu's plane is already in the air, by the way. This is an amazing story by Tal Shalev. Ahead of a possible attack from Iran, Netanyahu moved over the weekend to the house of Simon Falek in Jerusalem, which, according to previous reports, is a fortified bunker. Falek is a U.S. billionaire, a GOP donor, and the owner of Duty Free America. Netanyahu stayed at his house at the beginning of the war after rockets were fired on Jerusalem.
U.S. officials have officially confirmed that Iran has launched those drones toward Israel. We know that the president has ended his weekend in Delaware, is on his way back to the White House. He is meeting with his national security team there. What more can you tell us about what they're going to be doing there? Who's meeting with him in that situation room? And also,
I told you, by the way, that they would stop saying this is retaliatory the moment that drones were in the air, and approximately 23 minutes after the drones were in the air, they've already dropped the whole pretense, like why Iran did this, and are reframing the narrative as Iran struck first. And you will see red lines are being crossed by Iran against Israel is the standing narrative. So quickly did it change. Yesterday, I told you yesterday that this was going to happen, and it's already happening. Israel has a right to defend itself is going to be the meta again.
At the same time, I do think it's important to underscore that Iran has been very clear and has telegraphed that it will mete out a retaliation for that attack on the Iranian compound, the diplomatic embassy compound in Damascus on April 1st. And so some are extrapolating from that by telegraphing it so clearly, Iran is trying to find that precise point. And this is where it gets dangerous and difficult.
She's doing a decent job
between escalating and retaliating and avoiding creating a scenario that you can't pull back from the brink of. There is always the capacity for things to go wrong.
Whoever hurts us, we hurt them. We will protect ourselves from any threat and will do so with coolness and determination. I know that you, citizens of Israel, are also keeping your cool. I urge you to listen to the directives of the Home Front Command. Together we will stand, and with God's help, together we will overcome all our enemies.
Oh, finally, we got the weirdos in here again. So you're rooting for Iran. If this prompts a response from the U.S., it could mean economic collapse and further escalation. Iran controls oil exports. Millions could die. It's not good that Iran escalated now. What the f*** do you mean? If you're mad that Iran retaliated to Israel, you should be incredibly angry at Joe Biden and incredibly angry at Israel for literally getting it to this level, for allowing Israel to feel comfortable in drawing the United States into this broader conflict. Iran didn't escalate. Iran retaliated. If Clarissa Ward on CNN can understand that fact. If Clarissa Ward on CNN is saying that Iran is trying to retaliate in an even fashion so that they do not draw an even larger response from Israel, you should be able to understand that too. It is wild to assume that a regional actor that has developed its weapons capabilities specifically for this purpose is not going to retaliate when their own soil is struck. The Damascus consulate compound is Iranian soil. Israel greatly escalated it. The reason why you didn't hear about it is because mainstream media barely covered it. It was a blip. When it was a major move, the United States' response to Israel's major move was to say, oh, they didn't tell us. That's really fucked up that they didn't tell us ahead of time. This is awful. This is going to possibly ruin the lives of many people in Israel. It's probably going to ruin the lives of many people in Iran, and would, if, depending on what happens after this, depending on how this round of retaliation goes and how Israel chooses to escalate, and given that they've been violent and belligerent from the jump, which caused this retaliation to happen to begin with, I worry that this will have global consequences. I hope not. But the next couple of days will determine the future of this planet. It can be a tempered approach. The United States will rein in Israel and say, listen, they took pot shots back at you after you took pot shots. You just got to take the L here. Or it can mean full-scale global conflict. I have a little faith in the USA that can handle this appropriately. The reason why this is happening today is because the USA has not handled it appropriately. If Anthony Blinken, like he tweeted on October 8, urged Israel to de-escalate and urged restraint for Israel, if that tweet had been kept up after that meeting with Hakan Fidan, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, after Anthony Blinken and Hakan Fidan had a conversation on October 8, that was something that Anthony Blinken tweeted and deleted very quickly. If that was the attitude from October 8, it would have never gotten to this point, because Israel would know that there are red lines. Israel would know that there are boundaries that they cannot cross if they demand unconditional support from the United States of America. Biden, on the other hand, reaffirmed his commitment to Israel, said that there were no red lines, symbolically bear hugged Benjamin Netanyahu, and said, go all out. You've watched what Israel has done in the last 6 months after that. When you tell Israel no red lines, they're going to keep crossing the red lines that other regional actors have drawn. Understandable red lines that other regional actors have drawn. You let the dog off the leash. That's the point. Okay, official IRGC statement. Breaking. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps releases a statement. In response to the crime of the Zionist regime and the attack on the consular section of the Iranian embassy in Damascus, the IRGC Air Force hit certain targets in the territories of the Zionist regime with dozens of drones and missiles. That's what they said. I said this a couple of days ago, but it does seem, I might be totally off base on this, but it does seem like, given the fact that Iran very clearly spelled out that this would be a retaliation against Israel for the Damascus strike, that their response, while to you guys from afar looks like, you know, overkill, so many drones, is most likely going to try to strike an Israeli target of equal worth. The reason why they're sending hundreds of drones, of course, in 3 different salvos is because Israel, alongside with coalition forces, has tremendous defenses. So they're trying to get through it. That's the reason why. Most of those drones are not going to make it. Some of them will be intercepted above Syria. Some of them will be intercepted above Iraq. And some of them will be intercepted near Israel. Okay? You sound like you are condoning attacking Israel, aka civilian population. I genuinely don't understand how you can be at the precipice of World War III and still be interested in trying to farm a clip. Literally, that's wild to me. That is actually wild to me. There are hundreds of drones currently heading in the direction of Israel, and there are still chatters in here who are like, I can't wait to get a clip off here. This is gonna pop off on Reddit. I have never, oh my God. I'm Israeli and I live in the north. I'm going to sit in my balcony and just watch the missiles and drones come in law. Be safe, bro. What the fuck? Don't rely on the Iron Dome. These are not bathtub missiles. You know what I mean? These are not bathtub missiles being lobbed from Gaza, made by 17-year-olds using Israeli rocket parts. These are big boy drones and possibly big boy missiles to come as a follow-up. Is it, you know... This isn't like, I mean, even when Hezbollah ends up striking northern Israel, there is more of a threat than the Hamas and Islamic Jihad rockets. So is
as
this
well
a
as the
genuine
rest, if
attack
you
which
wanna
has
bring in,
strategic
Norman
goals
Rule.
or an authoritarian government reasserting authority by peacocking after they got smacked? No, it is a genuine retaliatory attack from an authoritarian government reasserting its authority. But it is a genuine retaliation to a regional actor that has gotten out of control. Fucked up that this is what LeBron has to say about the war. Nothing like two heavyweights doing what they do best for the love of the sport. That's messed up, dude. I'm gonna quote tweet. Is it cheesy to quote tweet it and be like, nothing like two heavyweights doing what they do best for the love of the sport? How can NatSec bros look at this and say Iran is at fault? They are being the aggressor as if everything happens in a vacuum. What do you mean? They're either A, paid to feel that way, or B, directly LARPing as a person who's paid to be that way when they are not. Also, this is still not a good thing for the chatters who are celebrating. You're behaving like many of you were on October 7th. If you cannot see how much worse things are going to get, especially given Israel's track record so far, I don't know what to tell you. It's bad. It's just all bad. This is also another interesting perspective that even I forgot to cover here. Iran says it wouldn't need to retaliate if UN had condemned the strike on Damascus. This is from Times of Israel on the 11th of April, 2024. The imperative for Iran to retaliate for the attack on its embassy compound in Damascus might have been avoided had the UN Security Council condemned the strike, Tehran's mission to the United Nations says. Had the UN Security Council condemned the Zionist regime's reprehensible act of aggression on our diplomatic premises in Damascus and subsequently brought justice to its perpetrators, the imperative for Iran to punish this rogue regime might have been obviated, the mission writes on X. Israel has not publicly commented on the strike. Now, just a reminder that that's why the American response to the Damascus embassy strike was very... Do you really think all they wanted was a finger wagging from the UN? No, they also say punish the perpetrators. Here's the thing. The Iranian government doesn't really want the smoke either. If they did, they would have retaliated after October 8th, but they never did. If you remember, one of the major things that happened after October 7 was something that was truly unique, truly unprecedented. The heads of the Iranian state, the American State Department, and even the Israeli government organs were all collectively saying that Iran did not have anything to do with October 7. That was truly a unique moment, especially because the American State Department and the Israeli government love saying everything is Iran's fault. They love it. They love, even when it's not, and in many instances it is, they always say it's Iran's fault. The point is that Iran has showed a lot of restraint thus far. If it were to utilize this as an opportunity for good PR for itself, seeing like the way that the Houthis were treated, Ansar Allah was treated. How does Israel benefit from dragging the U.S. into this conflict? What do you mean? Israel wants total elimination of Iran. Israel wants to nuke Iran. America is the #1 country on the planet. It's the top dog. It's the hegemonic superpower. Having America in your corner means more weapons. Having America in your corner means better support directly from the largest actor in every region. Yeah, they're calling Big Bro. They're calling Daddy. That's what it is. That's literally what it is. It's just like they can't handle it on their own. Of course they can't handle Iran on their own, so they're calling Daddy. The only way Israel restrains itself after this is if America is like, done. You're done. You're done. Stop it. Bro, they've been doing Air Force training in Cyprus for bombing Iranian targets on Iranian soil. Depending on the casualties, they will, the likelihood that they won't escalate is pretty low, all things considered, looking at their current track record. Iranian embassy in the UN says, we attacked the Zionist regime in accordance to Article 51 of the UN Charter, attack in self-defense, following the attack in Damascus. The matter is over, but the Israeli regime may make another mistake, and then Iran's reaction will be much more severe. This is a conflict between Iran and the Israeli regime. Their U.S. should keep its distance. Israeli chatter here, do you believe Israel actually might not respond? No. I do think that it is very likely that Israel will respond. Just judging by like America's lack of interest in restraining Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu's interest of self-preservation at any cost, like that war cabinet is, unless like, dude, anything short of like a Shin Bet assassination of like all of the most right-wing all of the most right-wing like war cabinet members, I don't think Israel is changing course. Either that or America just being like, yeah, you're done. Stop it. We're not going to help you at all. Because why would they? This is the whole point. Why else would they strike the Iranian consulate compound in Damascus. Why would they do that? That's one step removed from directly striking Iran. They did that because they wanted to broaden the conflict and have this look at like it's a state versus state, knowing full well that, of course, Iran would retaliate and knowing full well that America would most likely defend Israel unconditionally. And that is precisely what's happening so far. Something needs to change. The Papa John's currently pretty busy by the Pentagon. Interesting. I wonder why. Both southern and northern Israel under red alert, possibly Iranian missile/drone attack underway. I think it's approximately around 5 minutes out. Cam 4, by the way, wild stuff. Where's Cam 4? Oh, what the is that? Wait, what? Oh, those are the Tamir interceptors. Dude, that was scary as I don't know why. Bro, I don't know why it felt like, yep, they're in. They're on.
This is a
they're in the
familiar
Israeli
sight
airspace.
for you, Nick, and for those of us who've been following this war.
Holy that scared me like I was sitting behind the camera or something.
As the Iron Dome intercepts that you've been seeing for the past few months, how different is this?
It's a little different. It's hard for me to assess. There's the sirens now. Guys, are we on air?
And those are the sirens. Nick Robertson, you are on air. Those are the sirens that are sounded by Israeli authorities to warn residents, in this case in Jerusalem, of incoming rocket fire. What you're looking at there, live pictures of Jerusalem, the hills of Jerusalem, just before 2 o'clock local time in the morning.
Guys, the reason why they launched 500 drones is not because they wanted to hit 500 targets. Of course, they know that like many of those drones are going to be intercepted by Iron Dome and also the Central Command defense systems that are in the region. I'm sure they have like a specific target in mind, military targets in general, that they're launching ballistic missiles in the direction of. Don't know if that will also be successful, but ultimately the goal is to retaliate and to say, no, you can't get away with hitting an Iranian embassy. You can't get away with hitting the Iranian consulate compound in Damascus. It's kind of wild though. I don't think I've ever seen, I mean, we've seen interceptors before. I've never seen this many interceptors in action. It is genuinely a marvel. It is genuinely a marvel to see this thing in action. How does this work? It looks at the trajectory. It looks at the trajectory of the ballistics and tracks it and then sends an interceptor, a Tamir interceptor missile in its direction. Ultimately, obviously, if these drones hit like not all of these drones are directed in the directed towards like military targets. Some of them are there to exhaust the military systems. If they were to actually hit, if they were actually hitting like the ground, they'd be killing random innocent civilians. Okay, it's not an act of celebration. Israeli senior command, very significant retaliation to come against Iran. Oh no, they're so stupid, bro. They're so dumb. Bro, Israelis, you're on your own.
Well, there have been extraordinary scenes, I have to say, over the skies of Jerusalem this evening. Just a half an hour ago, it looks calm now. It is calm. But just 30 or so minutes ago, the sky behind me was lit up with, what looked from here like slow-moving fireworks arching into the sky, which were interceptors launched by Israeli air defense all around the city, rising up to meet the threat of Iranian drones coming in, perhaps cruise missiles. We don't know exactly what the targets up in the sky were.
What is the rational perspective from the Iranian side? I mean, they know that almost all of their attacks are going to get intercepted, so they want to show force. They want to scare the Israeli population. They want to scare the Israeli government and apply pressure to the Israeli government for striking technically Iranian soil. That's the reason why they have said that they're going to do this for a week now. Ynet says we intercepted 99% of the Iranian response. When you guys ask why did they fucking hit why did they hit the Iranian embassy? I told you why. Because they want to open up a new front, I think. They knew that, of course, Iran has to retaliate. Iran is going to retaliate. American forces and European forces are going to absolutely intercept missiles. And then there's going to be political pressure from America to respond to Iran because there's so many psychopathic, bloodthirsty monsters. Here's Tommy Vitor saying these lunatics are desperate to push us into a direct war with Iran. It's bloodthirsty, stupid, and not what any actual voters in this country want. This is Senator Marsha Blackburn. Iran has begun launching drone strikes on Israel. POTUS, we must move quickly and launch aggressive retaliatory strikes on Iran. That is a psychotic thing to say. But the goal from Israel is most likely to draw the United States into a broader conflict against Iran, directly against Iran. Notice, too, of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, after more than 10 days of silence and negligence of international organizations, especially the UN Security Council, to condemn the aggression and criminality of the Zionist regime in the attack on the consular section of the Iranian embassy in Damascus as a part of our country's territory, and the testimony of 7 of the country's legal advisors and the non-punishment of the criminal regime under the 7th paragraph of the United Nations Charter, John Barkfon of the Revolutionary Guards, in response to these crimes and the realization of previous warnings and the fulfillment of the demand for the right of Iran, and in order to punish the aggressor, using its intelligence, missile, and drone strategic capabilities, it attacked the important military targets of the Zionist terrorist army in the occupied territories and successfully hit and destroyed them. I don't know about that part. Following the strategic policies of the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announces the terrorist government of America is warned that any support and participation in harming Iran's interests will result in a decisive and regretful response from the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran. 2, also, if America is responsible for the evil actions of the Zionist regime, and if this child-killing regime is not contained in the region, it must accept its consequences. 2, while emphasizing the policy of the good neighborliness with neighbors and countries in the region, it is stated that any threat by the terrorist state of America and the Zionist regime from the origin of any country will be followed by a reciprocal and proportional response of the Islamic Republic of Iran or the source of the threat. We assure the heroic nation of Iran and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and other armed forces of the country will stand to the death in defense of national interests and will neutralize the enemy's efforts to disrupt the security and peace of the people. That's a bunch of rhetoric. I'll believe it when I see any actual action. The fuck do you mean? There's like thousands of drones that are being intercepted on top of Israel right now. What actions? What do you mean? Nuke Tel Aviv? What the fuck are you talking about? I just met my national security team for an update on Iran's attack against Israel. Our commitment to Israel's security against threats from Iran and its proxies is ironclad. Thanks, Joe. Joe, thank you. What does Israel get from escalating? I mean, they want to wipe out Iran. They want to nuke Iran. That's it. They've always wanted to nuke Iran. So this way, with Western support, they can be like, they attacked us and we have to attack back, so that people forget the embassy attack and why this was a retaliation. Would it be different from Russia and Ukraine? Wouldn't it be just 2-country war if it escalates? Dude, what... Israel, bro, today, as we are watching rockets perish in the night sky like shooting stars, whose weapons are those that are actually shooting those rockets from the sky, you think? You think those are Israeli rockets? No. Who's intercepting other missiles on top of Iraqi and also Jordanian airspace? Do you think those are Israeli fighter jets with Israeli fighter pilots? Or do you think it is the United States Navy and also the allied forces, allied Western forces in general? Israel does not have the capacity to defend itself. Israel can't do any of that without America, without the Western world. Towards a response, Netanyahu and Biden will talk in the next few minutes. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Oh, here we go. Dude, this conversation that's about to take place, I don't even know what the fuck Biden's gonna say, but I'm willing to bet it's not gonna be, hey, restrain yourself. Doesn't feel like it will be. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued a second statement warning the United States against supporting Israel. It said, we warn the United States terrorist government that any support or participation in attacking Iran's interests will have a fierce response from Iran's armed forces. That probably means like bases, right? I assume. Like American bases will be targeted way harder. Bro, what is my man saying? Governor Phil Murphy, we're closely monitoring the situation in the Middle East. New Jersey stands with the people of Israel. Is such, dude, we are such a joke of a nation. We are such a meme country, bro. I swear to God. Bro, you're the governor of New Jersey. What are you saying? What do you mean you're closely monitoring the situation in Israel? New Jersey stands proudly with Israel is like such a wild take. It's like, New Jersey stands ready, sir. We will send our shock troopers. We promise we will send the state troopers over to Tel Aviv instantly at a moment's notice. Sure, Phil. Thanks. We were wondering what New Jersey was doing. It's like, what do you mean, bro? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, oh, New Jersey stands proudly. The state of New Jersey stands proudly with the state of Israel. Like, I can't. The LAPD is closely monitoring developments between Iran and Israel. While there are no credible threats to Los Angeles at this time. Yo, we're so stupid, bro. We are such a dumb country. This is the official account of the Los Angeles Police Department headquarters, man. This is not satire. Alabama stands with Israel. America stands with Israel. Please continue to join us in praying for Israel, the Jewish people, and our fellow Americans and allies in the region. Governor Greg Gianforte, the great state of Montana. Susan and I are praying for the people in Israel. Montana stands with them against this unprovoked attack from Iran. To be fair, he's from Montana, bro. They don't got internet over there, okay? He probably doesn't know. He gets his information from carrier pigeon. I can't shit on him too hard. You know what I mean? He's like, the Israeli Security Cabinet authorized Prime Minister Netanyahu and Gallant and Benny Gantz to decide on the Israeli response. The Israeli War Cabinet convened tomorrow to discuss the issue. So Benjamin Netanyahu had a conversation with Joseph Robinette Biden. The War Cabinet gave him the authorization alongside Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who's the one who said Palestinians are human animals. We're fighting human animals. Their water, electricity, and food must be shut. And and Minister Benny Gantz, the liberal America's guy in the room, are going to decide on the Israeli response. On top of that, Israel also called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council over the Iranian attack. They're going to do this, I suspect, and say, we have been brutally attacked by a foreign nation and our sovereignty has been violated by the foreign nation of Iran, which is an adversary to many members of the Security Council with certain exceptions. And therefore, we should have the legal right to retaliate in kind. That is precise. I suspect that is what they're going to ask for. Obviously, the UN Security Council is going to be like, no, get the fuck out of here. And then they're going to turn around and simply say, we're doing it anyway because America's backing us. And also do propaganda and be like, see, they're obviously very anti-Semitic. They are obviously very anti-Semitic for not giving us the authorization. Obviously, this is retaliatory in nature. However, do you think this was the smart move from Iran? I mean, Netanyahu's been trying to sabotage talks since they began. And while Haniya shows some restraint, Iran bit the bullet, literally. Israel is committing genocide and ethnic cleansing. Pogroms took place today. But do you really think this will help Palestinians now that the U.S. and Israel will commit? I don't know. I guess the one silver lining in that circumstance would be that like they won't be able to focus as much on Palestinians, on completing the ethnic cleansing on the Palestinian population, including like the invasion of Rafah, if they are trying to launch forward operations on Iranian soil. So there is that. But I don't believe that Iran retaliated against Israel because they care so much about the Palestinians. I believe Iran retaliated against Israel because it's a regional actor that had to fucking put their foot down, or else they felt as though Israel will continue increasing the pressure and violate their sovereignty further. I think that's the reason why they did that, not because they care about the Palestinians or anything like that. I don't think that, but for the record, for people asking like, well, what's Israel's end game here? What's their end goal? How do they feel as though they can like bring Iran the heel? I don't think they're thinking about an end game. I think that they just are not thinking about an end game at all. I think they just are going to continue trying to pummel Iran and see where it goes. Fascism is a death cult. That's why the Nazis also spread themselves too thin. And by the way, make no mistake, Israel is more ascetic than the Nazis were as far as like conducting its genocidal operation in Gaza while simultaneously fighting against Iran. So that's why I said they probably don't have the same capabilities of continuing their ethnic cleansing campaigns in Gaza. The Nazis had already put all of the people, Jews, trade unionists, communists, socialists, Roma people, LGBT people in concentration camps by that point, and they were already facilitating at least parts of the final solution. So for them, I mean, it's both fascist ideologies, and you're watching it unfold. You're watching fascism in action, fascism in display. The most realistic outcome is that, you know, it goes the way of Nazi Germany and continues to expand, continues to open up new fronts, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. Charter. Biden reportedly asked Israel not to retaliate. No. Biden reportedly encouraged Israel not to respond with an attack on Iranian soil. They did not encourage Israel to not respond. They just simply said, do not respond on Iranian soil. Also, He encouraged Israel. He didn't demand, or he didn't say red lines, do not fucking attack Iran or Iranian soil. There is concern among top U.S. officials that Israel could do something quickly in response to Iran's attacks without thinking through potential fallout afterward, according to a senior administration official and a senior defense official. Well, you should have thought about it beforehand, man. I think it might be too late. The concern stems in part from the administration's views on the approach Israel has taken to its war against Hamas, as well as the attack in Damascus. President Joe Biden has privately expressed concern that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to drag the U.S. more deeply into a broader conflict, according to three people familiar with with his comments. What will Hutch say now that Joe Biden is in agreement with me? Maybe he'll change his position now because he has to like literally follow after the Democratic Party says things. Not that it fucking matters. His concerns don't mean anything because he's still going to follow through on it, I think. He's always like, man, I'm so privately concerned about this genocide. And it's like, okay, well, are you going to do something about it publicly? Not really. I am privately concerned though. Privately, I'm getting very angry. Privately, I'm about to say something. I'm about to say something real mean. I'm about to have a come to Jesus moment. He's going to say the gamer word. And just you wait, dude. He's going to say the gamer word. And then Benjamin Netanyahu is going to be like, I know so many more slurs than you, old man. They're going to have a slur off. Imagine if he got publicly concerned for a moment. Oof, things would be real different.